How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we are looking at the brand new season trailer that they've given us just today. It's really unfortunate because I did do a video yesterday outlining some predictions, but unfortunately I didn't know about this coming out today, so we are going to look over this, what the tanks are. We know exactly which ones each of these ones on screen are going to be, and we're going to check out what's good about them, what's bad about them, and also which ones are good to pick up. I know that probably one of them will be part of the premium battle pass. Like, there's stages. Obviously the free one you get a couple of tanks for free, but then you get the bought one or purchased one, and then you get most of the premium ones. And then if you buy like the ultimate battle pass, you'll receive all of the tanks available as part of the season, which included the STRV-K or whatever it was, the tier 9 medium last season, and I'm expecting that to be fairly similar with this one. So first things first, we'll go over on the tank on the left. There's two choices which this can be pretty much. If you take the outline that we've got on screen, it's going to be one of these two. Now these are the tier 10 and tier 9 Russian premium heavy tanks, both the Object 777 version 2 and the 777 dynamic. So they're the two differences. They are, well, pretty much the exact same tank in terms of the armor model. It's just that the tier 10 version gets far better stats in game. As you can see, if we look on the stats page, you get a buff to DPM, you get a buff to reload time, obviously aim time gets reduced, dispersion gets reduced, so it's basically just a flat out upgrade to your gun stats and also the top speed of the tank, since you get better engine and turret and also tracks, but the gun remains the same except from the actual statistics of it. You still receive the same amount of penetration and alpha damage of 440. So it's going to be a fairly decent tank. The armor model, if we go to that now for both of them, if we have a look at the live model, which tells you where kind of the weak spots are of the tanks, is that this big lower plate is about 200 millimeters of effective armor when you're looking at it flat from the front. So you want to be aiming for this kind of bar in the middle. You don't want to aim at the very lower one because I believe it just gets more angled as you go further down, and you've got an increased chance of bouncing or just missing. This tank can side scrape fairly well against you, but you know this plate here is going to be a problem. So when you're playing this, you want to be kind of coming around a corner at this kind of angle, and people aren't going to reliably be able to hit you. You do get 6 degrees of gun depression as well, so it's not terrible, nothing brilliant though, and they're never going to really be able to hit this cupola, even if it is actually a weak spot. But from above, you can get penned by pretty much anything. And also, if you're aiming down on this tank, the upper plate becomes a weak spot, so if you're in something like the Type 5, then you probably want to aim here. Or additionally, try and aim at the top of the roof, because you'll probably be able to overmatch that since you've got a massive gun on the Type 5, and that can actually be overmatched by 155mm guns or over, so you can just shoot the top of it and it will instantly pen, just no matter the angle, just because you've got that higher caliber. Yeah, so angling this tank should be really good, same as with the tier 10, and that's pretty much it. It's very low profile. It's not got a very big hull, a bit like the FV4202. It's got that really slim hull where the tracks are huge compared to the actual side of the tank. So when you come up to the side of it, you probably want to be aiming further up, but watch out for that bit in here where it goes up to like 300 millimeters. So kind of aim for this, just the track bit, but the top of the tracks, and you'll be able to go through. Don't bother aiming at the side of the turret because it's so bouncy and weird. Armoured, except from on the back. This machine gun slash thing on the back actually counts as spaced armour as well, which is going to be really annoying if you're trying to fire HE into the back of it. As you can see, there's this big ball of spaced on the back, and that's the same with the tier 9 and the tier 10. So that's the real differences between them. Yeah, the tier 10 does only get 5 degrees of gun depression compared to the 6 on the tier 9. So I'm assuming that it will be the tier 9, because what tends to happen is we will get a tier 10, a tier 9 and tier 8 as part of the battle pass, same as the last season. And that's basically this tank in a nutshell. You'll be able to use it as an aggressive kind of medium, because it does have that top speed that's quite high. So you'll be able to get into position, and if you've got the tier 10, it's even faster. So, you know, a top speed of 40 will be really good. So that's kind of that tank. The gun is really annoying though, just because it's pretty inaccurate, but with the recent changes that we've had in update 6.0, that's not really going to be a problem, because you can get that dispersion of 0.4 right the way down to probably 0.3 with all of the aiming time buffs and shooting on the move and accuracy buffs that you can get with these kind of tanks. So that's this tank here on the left, and we've kind of worked that one out for you. And then this middle tank here of the 3 tanks is actually the Bourrasque. This is the tier 8 French premium medium tank. Plays more like a light tank though, it should be noted. So what is this tank? As you can see on the model, it's pretty much guaranteed to be the Bourrasque. It's got this kind of aerials that come off the top of it, and you can see on the model that is pretty much what it's going to be. And what is good about this tank? Well, it gets a autoloader gun. It can fire off 2 shots of 360 alpha damage. I believe it's a 105, yeah. And you can do a clip potential of 720 within 2 seconds of unloading the first shell, which is really good. And at tier 8, you can pretty much half health any tank at that tier, which is really good. It has a top speed of 62 kilometers an hour, so yeah, it's more like a light tank. It doesn't have armor, so you should definitely not be relying on anything like that. Use your mobility to kind of get rid of shots coming at you, rather than go for the armor instead. So you can see it's literally a HE magnet. If you fire HE, you're going to pretty much pen with any tank, as long as you don't hit the spaced and the side of the tracks. But even then, they actually come down, which means that, you know, if you're aiming for the side of it, you'll probably pen anyway, because the spaced isn't even in that way. It's kind of minimized by being right at the bottom of the hole. So yeah, HE is going to be your main success against this tank, and just to increase your kind of damage back to it if it hits you for 720 with its gun. So dispersion is 0.4, not brilliant, but then you're not going to give ridiculous accuracy on a light tank that can do 720 alpha damage with its clip. So yeah, that will be reduced a lot, especially with run and gun. You know, with dispersion on the move, that will be really good. And also, you're really fast backwards, so that's yet another thing that's going to be really good. You get 6 degrees of gun depression, not the biggest thing, and 13 degrees of elevation, which is going to be a bit of a problem if you're trying to shoot up at anything, considering that's not actually that much. So yeah, you're going to have problems on ridge lines if you're going down them and something's in front of you. So that's something else you should have a look at. But yeah, top tips to get rid of this tank in games is to just fire HE at them. 10mm of side of the turret. The front of the turret is 15mm, so yeah, HE magnet this one. Anything else about the tank? Realistically, it's got 390 meters of U range. That'll probably go up to something like 480 if you put all of the perks, so it's going to be fairly decent at spotting. Maybe less than that, maybe like 460 or something like that, but you'll definitely be able to be fairly accurate and be able to spot enemy tanks really reliably. So yeah, that's the Bourrasque, the tier 8 French premium medium tank. That came into PC, I think, in February 2020, so we're getting that now, so just under a year since that's been released. This final tank on the end here is the M48A2, or the T54E2, or you want to call it the T123E6. So yeah, this is a tier 10 American premium medium tank. I don't know if it's already in the game, but I know that this one's actually fairly decent. If we look at the armour model, it's got a fairly weird hull. It's that boat-shaped thing from the front, similar to the heavies at the tier, but it's not going to bounce very much from the front of the hull unless you hit these really angled bits up, like on the upper hull and to the side. So realistically, just aim at the front of it, and if it's angling, you're pretty much going to go through anywhere as long as you don't hit the outer bit of the inner track. The main turret weak spots are, of course, this massive cupola on top. So yeah, that's 80mm of effective armour, and that you're going to go through that with every single tank that probably can meet this tank, to be honest. And even with HE, you'll probably be able to go through that sometimes with the high alpha damage guns, like the 155mm, depending on your HE pen. But I wouldn't recommend firing HE at this. I'd rather just go for the damage, which is easy. The turret is actually fairly bouncy, except from the cheeks, where you can pretty much go through, and this lower bit of the cheeks as well. So yeah, you can hit the turret ring too. That's also a weak spot of this tier 10 premium medium American tank. The side armour is fairly weird. You do get this weird spaced armour bit here, but it's really weak, and you'll be able to go through it with pretty much any tank in the game. And also the back of the tank is absolute paper, so if you've got HE and you see the back of this, then 100% load it. Aim for this upper bit of the back, and that will go through since it's a bit less armour. And yeah, I think if we put a HE shell, you can 100% go through the back of it really easily. Turret is slightly harder, but yeah, if you get the back of it, you'll be more than happy to go through this and face it. What is special about this tank? Well, it's got a fairly decent DPM of 2,800 just on. It can go 48 kilometers an hour forward and 20 backwards, so it's not too bad. You got 400 alpha damage, 258mm of penetration, and you get heat shells as your premium round with 340 pen, so you'll be pretty reliably going through every single thing in the game. You get 2 second aim time, 0.38 dispersion, so your gun's fairly accurate. You'll be able to use it really well actually. You get a nice 10 degrees of gun depression, which is lovely, and 20 degrees of elevation. So yeah, this tank's going to be pretty good in game. It's not going to be absolutely outstanding, but yeah, I would 100% grind your way towards this as part of the season pass. It's got 2,000 health, pretty, yeah, again, standard, 400 meters of view range, so you'll be able to kind of spot. I think that's fairly standard yet again. Nothing particularly overpowered about this tank in my eyes, from what I can see. It doesn't really get armour unless you count the turret, and even then people can quite reliably or like randomly pen you, so it's not very reliable. It's kind of just a bit of luck if they go through or not, unless obviously you're poking, and even when you use your gun depression, it just makes this bottom half of your turret really weak. But if you're only showing the top bit, then they are going to struggle. But even then they can hit your cupola, which will be the first thing they see as you come over the ridge. And then if you expose any of your hull armour, you're going to get penned 100%. And then also, you do not want to side scrape in this thing. It's not particularly great, just because if they catch a single bit of the turret, you'll probably bounce. But if you're like this, they are going to go through every single time because of the armour being so weak on the side of the turret. And yeah, if you've got any bit of the side of the turret or the cupola out against your enemies, that's goodbye really, because it's just that weak. So yeah, that is the tier 10 American premium medium tank, and all of those tanks as part of the teaser for the new season. The kind of motto of this season is victory through strength and endurance, so I'm not entirely sure what that's about. I did have a look at Winter Warrior, but the only thing I could kind of find is some sort of obstacle course type thing. online. I'm not entirely sure if that's like a slogan. If you guys can find that out, maybe put it in the comment section as to what you think the actual season can actually be about. I'm not entirely sure. What we could take away from this though is that potentially the wheeled light tanks could be coming, because the Bourrasque is actually kind of very similar to the wheeled light tanks in that regard. It doesn't actually get wheels as such, because it does continue to have the tracks, but it did come out after the wheeled light tank, so potentially that could be part of the update, but I'm not entirely sure that I'd want that in the game at the moment, to be honest. But yeah, I'd prefer the double barreled, but I'm not entirely sure that would come out. If we find any more information, or you guys find anything worth noting about, then I will make another video very soon regarding the new season, and if we find anything else out. So yeah, that is pretty much everything we've got. We do know that the new season comes out on the 26th of January, and so you can kind of look out for that in 3 days' time. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you find anything else out, then please let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video and also subscribe if you want to see some more stuff from me. I will be releasing any of the update notes and patch notes that we get, and also anything else regarding the new season. I'll try and give you a couple of guides as well in the next few weeks. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.